if baseball were to start and then stop, what happens to make it stop, and whose decision is that?
What happens to make it stop is there is an outbreak in a team, amongst a team, to where the extended player pool and the active player pool are either awaiting tests, are enduring a quarantine, have registered a positive test. It's going to take a large amount of people on one club to ultimately render that club defective or unusable, non-competitive, whatever phrasing you want to throw. But that's what's going to happen. Or not what's going to happen, that's what it would take, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because from there, you're now eliminating parts of a schedule like on the fly. And you can't project when that could change or when that might be able to come back, because we've already seen some hiccups in awaiting test results, whether they be positive or negative. So imagine waiting a few days to only then be hit with a positive. So now you're quarantined and you don't know when that's going to look any different. And baseball's kind of said that, we're going to do our own protocol thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need to figure out a way to get two negative tests back to back and get these guys back on the field. That's a lot of moving parts should 10, 15 guys come down with something all at the same time.
Yeah. So I think that that's the start of it. The answer that I've kind of been giving is that I think, because we've seen players already opting out, I think that if there were more positive tests, if there was an uptick in the percentage of positive tests throughout the league, so it's not really condensed to just one team, like say it's just kind of league wide, where it's like, all right, we have a bunch of positive tests, but we don't really have to shut down an entire team. If a bunch of players, like if you have like a 2-week span where like 50 players opt out, you might have the public outcry of the media and the fans being like, shut it down. Like, because
what public outcry, Jared? These are people who have been telling these baseball players to suck it the fuck up and get back on the field.
I think what it should or would take is the guys like Buster Posey, David Price, these guys that have the money and they don't need this, not service time, but they don't need like to prove themselves any further. If those guys start opting out and all you have left is a bunch of players that are like, well, I need the paycheck, like I'm making league minimum or I'm not making a ton of money, or it's, it's my last year before free agency or arbitration or something like that, and then they're forcing themselves to play, that's when you kind of have a problem, is like these guys feel like they have no choice but to play when really they don't feel comfortable playing.
But that plays right into the ownership's hands. And so you're telling me that Mr. High-profile player X making 10+ mil this year, that you don't want to play? Man, hey, stay safe. Hopefully you tune into the games and support us from afar. Appreciate that, because that means that I'm just going to have to write this guy a prorated check for league minimum. Darn, you think the Orioles ownership is like torn up about it? If that's the case, like, no, probably not. And back to the point about these fans who are going to be saying, come on, let's think about the players' health. Let's think, like, that hasn't happened at any point in time in terms of the mass voice. So that mass voice isn't going to take on this completely new complexion where they care about the players' well-being. Like, these are people who are telling players to shut their mouth, take the money that they're making, be happy with it. And a lot of other people are working through this pandemic. You can too. I don't see how that opinion shifts to where they actually now start caring about the players. I live in a state right now where fucking county, Orange County, just voted 4-1 to send kids back to school.
Those are just the parents that are like, I'm fucking sick of my kid being home. Like, I've been home with this kid for fucking 4 months. Like, get him out of the house.
But that, like, and that leads me back to the conversation when this all first started, and I said, I would love to talk about this and how it affects baseball in our vacuum and whatever, but I'm paying attention to what's going on outside of the game of baseball. And the state of California just shut down again, right? Shut it down again. So how we're moving through this, and I think to your point, the question would be, what's the baseline across the league? Is there a number of players, and I asked this very early on when all this happened, how many players is it going to take before the league says, you know what, this is just too much? We've had 4 on that team. We had 6 on that team, 3 on that team. We've had 5 from that team. Like, when that starts to happen with regularity, what's the baseline where teams are like, nope, can't do it? We've had 12 teams receive this many positive tests. We just can't do it. And that's the question, is we don't know what that number is.
Yeah, we don't. And I'm sure that there is not an official number, but maybe a ballpark number that they have in mind. We'll find that out. I'm sure we will find that out.